this is going to be very disjointed. I have my notes here. I'm going to cover up some so you don't see it, but it's my yearly practice notes. But I've got my notes, and I am going to let you guys kind of like get a little look-see into what my year ahead is going to look like regarding tarot and learning and stuff like that. So before we begin, hi guys, my name's Amelia, and if you want to learn anything about me, I have some links in the description bar. But I'm a professional tarot reader, psychic, I'm an author, all the good things. And anyway, I wanted to show you guys the decks that I plan to use, how I plan to use them, and some of the things that I am planning on implementing and bringing into my tarot practice in the upcoming year. Now, last year, in 2025, I did not dip into my practice nearly as much as I wanted to. Like, I had meant to, and then I just didn't. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that 2025 was a very crazy and intense year, and I genuinely just didn't lean into my spirituality nearly as much. But this year, in 2026, I plan to do so more. Part of it is I have the ability to do so, as far as I know. I mean, unless things change. And also, while I'm nervous about having a child in 2026 and that really changing my free time and what I can do, I want to prioritize my spiritual practice more because I feel like I'd really fallen off, and this is just something I really enjoy, and it means a lot to me. And as much as I love living in the real world, as much as I love being grounded like that, I do miss the connection I had with the divine, and so that's what I'm looking for, is that connection with Source again. So what we have before us is my journal, a deck I plan to use, and then my classic one. And my classic one is where we're going to start. So I'm just going to take it out of the box here, go off the side, I suppose. I am looking for the Empress card. And the reason is, oh wow, that was fast. The reason is because this is the energy I think I'm going to be embodying in 2026. This is the energy that I plan on cultivating. I want to sit with this card all year. This is my yearly card. Now, I plan on doing a whole spread, like a tarot page journaling session with it. That's why I have this journal here, but I'm not going to do that just yet. I'm not going to do that today. Right now, we're just kind of talking. Part of the talking is so I can kind of figure out what I want to do for the upcoming year, but also to kind of let you guys have a look and a peek into my practice and what I'm going to be doing. So, I'm going to move this off to the side for a second. So, the Empress. I've never really sat with this card for too long. I've never really thought about it as much. I mean, I love the Empress, don't get me wrong, but I plan on doing a full-on personal deep dive into the energy of the Empress, and I mean, a lot of you can guess it's probably just because I'm going to be a mother, and I'm moving from maidenhood to motherhood, and that is an incredible, complex, mildly sorrowful, equally joyful experience. I have been mourning my loss of my maidenhood, I guess, because I'm moving from one place to another in life, and some people don't really value or appreciate the grieving process that goes into becoming a mother. They argue that you're not losing your identity or whatever, and I agree. I don't think you're losing your identity. You're just getting another layer. You are becoming a new person. You are transforming. But I also want to point out, when I was younger, when I hit puberty and I realized, this is really personal, sorry guys. When I was younger, I was entering puberty and I mourned my childhood. I'm not even joking. I was so distraught as a child when I realized I was growing up, and it really hit me, and I mourned my younger self. And I've done that over the years in much smaller ways, but there are some very big moments where you really mourn, who you were. And I feel like I just want to sit with this energy all year in 2026. My baby's due in March. I will try to be making videos regardless. It just may be every 2 weeks is kind of what I'm aiming for. I'm trying to upfront a lot of stuff now. But the year ahead is looking like a journey of exploring motherhood. Who am I going to be as a mother, And so the Empress is what the energy that I want to embody. What is absolutely fascinating, though, about this is I did this little exercise, and I actually did it in the car. So it's something you can just kind of mentally do. But I thought, okay, you know, this is my tarot card for the year, is the Empress. This is my card that I'm going to carry with me throughout all of 2026, that I'm going to keep reflecting on. I'm probably going to prop it up somewhere near my altar, maybe even, honestly, like, I have this little, like, I don't know if you can see that in frame, but there's like a little place right there. I'm thinking about propping up the card and just leaving it up all year almost, or at least a printout of it, because I don't want my cards to fade. I was like, okay, if this is the card I want to have this year, what would have been my tarot card of the year? And I did this little exercise that I see people do with astrology houses. So astrologically, you have 12 houses, and you know, you start with year 1, and that's the first house, year 2, second house, and so on, and you see how that aligns with each year. So I'm going to be 26, and, well, I am 26. Okay, I am 26, but I will be 26 all of 2026, pretty much until November. So the exercise with astrology is, I'm like, okay, you know, if I double 12, we get 24. So that's 2 full cycles through the zodiac, through the houses. And then I only have to add 2 more to figure out what house I'm in right now. And so 2026 should be a year of, like, second house energy. And so that's kind of the idea for me. Like, that's the idea. And I try to translate that to tarot. So tarot, you have 22 major arcana, so 0 to 21, you know, Fool to the World. And I was doing the math, and I'm like, okay, well, when I was 22, that would have been the World. And then 23 would have been the Fool, 24, the Magician, 25, so 2025, the High Priestess, which is hilarious to me, because I felt like I lost spirituality, but maybe that was the point of 2025 for me. And lo and behold, 2026 is the year of the Empress for me. Crazy. So if you're 26, you have the Empress card. Now, does that mean you get to be a mother? No. That's just how it's being expressed for me. I think that this could also be about the birth of a new job, a new idea, a new project, something you're starting. And to be honest, there's a lot of things I'm starting as well, including really getting back into my tarot journey. And my spiritual journey. So it's kind of incredible, honestly. I feel like 2023 was a year of the Fool for me. It really was. And, you know, 2025, even though it seems, you know, counterintuitive or wrong to think of, you know, a year being so detached from spirit to be connected to the High Priestess. I mean, like, it's the end of the year, and since, like, late October, early November, I have been reconnecting with spirit, and I'm like, maybe that was the journey. The journey was the High Priestess the whole time, and I just concluded it at the end of the year. I don't know. I thought that was, like, a really cool, like, it lined up very, very well. And yeah, so not only is this card something I personally chose that would be my card of the year, but it also lines up if we were to treat the majors in the same way that we treat astrological houses. So I just thought that was cool. Wanted to share that with you guys. It's an exercise you guys could do for yourself to figure out what your card of the year would be, and see how that energy is going to manifest. And I think it's a kind of a cool retrospective like activity to see how the cards that you would have had in the past years, how they express themselves in those years as well. So that is one thing I'm going to be doing in 2026. So the next thing that I want to talk to you guys about is a decan walk. And I kind of set up a journal page for this. I'm going to try to find it. There we go. So I have been using this journal for all of my tarot readings recently. I've been writing them all down. Like, I have one here. This is like a weekly thing. But I have been journaling more, and oh my god, guys, I have missed junk journaling. If you guys were here in the old days of my channel, that's like all I did. But I set up a decan walk, and I still need to prepare a little bit for it, but I figured I would tell you guys about it and then just update you as I go. So I'm not starting my walk until March, which is hilarious that I'm planning to start that right after my baby's born, but you know, it is what it is. So will I hold myself to this? I'm gonna try. Will it be cute? Will it be, will I be putting in the time and effort it deserves? I don't know. But I do want to do an actual decan walk, because I've never done one this year. So my plan is to start in March on the spring equinox when Aries season begins. and go from there. And one thing I want to do at the beginning of each decan, well, not even decan, but at each astrological sign, is pull out the major arcana card that correlates to that zodiac sign. So, for example, in March, well, and in parts of April too, but, you know, in Aries season, the Emperor is the card. So I'll be pulling out the Emperor and putting it up on the altar space as an energy for that time period in my life, because I want to pull in the seasonal energy, and I feel like that's a good way to do it, is to have that major arcana card up from March 20th to April 19th, basically. And then each decan is about 10 days, and so as those days arrive, I will pull out the minors. So, for example, in March 20th to 30th, that's the Two of Wands, the first decan of Aries. So, and I will also have that up, and I also have journal prompts that I want to work specifically for each decan. Now, the decan, again, is 10 days, so I'm breaking it up into 2 days where I practice working with a certain energy in these, like, questions I have. Okay, I had a call in the middle of that, so I don't know what I was saying. I think I was talking about prompts. Okay, basically, I have divided up, so there is 10 days per decan, and what I'm doing is I have 5 prompts, so I basically spend 2 days with each prompt. That's the goal. Now, if I end up having to, you know, crunch all the prompts in the last day or something, it's fine. I'm flexible. I'm not going to be so harsh on myself. But the prompts that I've created are at the start of the decan, at the start of, like, really meditating on this energy. The first question is, what does this card mean to me, and how do I relate to it? So, like, with the Two of Wands, I would ask myself that at the start of Aries season, like, what does the Two of Wands mean to me, and how do I personally relate to it? Do I have a personal moment in my life that I can attribute to, like, Two of Wands energy? And then the second prompt is, how can I embody the energy of this card? And that is where it starts to become more of a practice, where I'm trying to embody the energy of the Two of Wands in the decan. The third prompt I chose is a bit more study focused. So it says, what does this card represent alchemically or astrologically? And so my whole point there is to analyze, how does the Two of Wands relate to Aries energy? Why is that part of the Aries decan? And how does it work alchemically? How is this part of the alchemical process and spiritual growth? And so that one's a bit more of a hard study. I'll be looking at the symbolism of the card, all of that. I am using the RWS system for this. I am not expanding to other systems yet because I have meant to do this and it has not happened, and I don't want to, like, force myself into a really hard, intense study, especially immediately postpartum, so we will see how that goes, but I feel like this is approachable. The fourth prompt is, what does this card teach us? Like, what can the Two of Wands teach us as a collective, individually? What does this card have to offer? Like, what lessons do we, like, obtain from it? And the last one is, how did this card's energy show up for me? And that's specifically within the last 10 days of the decan. So I'll be looking at how it specifically showed up in my life, where did I find it, etc. So I'm pretty excited about this. I do have, like, some blank space here. There's some more I'm trying to figure out, but so far I feel like it's a pretty solid plan. One thing I also have is the quartz. Now, I tried to find resources online of people lining up the major arcana with the quartz. And I do have one tarot deck. I think it's the Cosmic Tarot. Yeah, let me get that, actually. I have this deck here, the Cosmic Tarot, and on the quartz, whoops, so I immediately got, like, a court card here. We have the Prince of Cups, so this would be the Knight of Cups, and you can see the sign of Scorpio right there. So we have the Scorpion, or, like, for this one, that's not a court. Let me look for a court. So we have 2 here. That's awesome. Okay, so for Queen of Wands, the Queen of Wands, let's see if I can find her symbol in here somewhere. If not, I can use Prince. So Prince has, looks like Leo. Looks like they chose Leo for that one. So, not the one I chose, but they chose Leo for that. You can see Leo's sign there. I'm trying to see if I can find the Queen. I bet that Archer represents Sagittarius. I bet they chose Sagittarius for this. So, this is one interpretation, but this is not what everyone does. So that means Aries is king, which is awesome. I'm gonna see if I can find another one. Okay, and then like Queen of Swords, you can see the symbol for Gemini there. So the Gemini would be Queen of Swords. So this deck does have those astrological symbols, but I did not follow that. I actually chose my own. So I'm gonna put this back in its box. But I chose King of Wands for Aries, Queen of Pentacles for Taurus, Knight of Swords for Gemini, Queen of Cups for Cancer, Queen of Wands for Leo, Knight of Pentacles Virgo, Queen of Swords Libra, Knight of Cups Scorpio, Knight of Wands Sagittarius, King of Pentacles Capricorn, King of Swords Aquarius, and King of Cups Pisces. And the reason I chose what I did was because I felt like those related more to the energy than what I saw other interpretations. And I was looking it up online, so I didn't actually use my Cosmic Tarot, though I think I could agree more with my Cosmic Tarot than disagree with it. But I was looking at stuff online, and people would attribute Knight of Wands to Aries, and I just felt like that wasn't really appropriate, because I think Aries, I mean, it's ruled by Mars, like, come on, it's gotta be King of Wands. It's fire of fire, dude. Like, I don't know. And then Knight of Wands, you know, that's like air of fire, and I feel like that is appropriate for Sagittarius. That's a bit more flighty, you know. I don't know. So I kind of made my own quartz. I might change it to better fit the Cosmic Tarot, but it kind of depends on if I go through and pull out all the quartz, if I agree, and I think I'll have to sit with it for a second. But regardless, I made my own, and I would like to sit with the court energy as well during each season, to kind of like really pull in more meaning. So the deck and walk is kind of where I'm starting. And another thing about my deck and walk is I'm going to be using the Arcana Iris Sakra by Tina Gong. So this is the deck that I will be working with. It is currently in order, so the whole thing is all in order. I'm going to get the majors out of the way. It is a Thoth-based deck, though. And while I'm not studying the Thoth system, I do plan on using the keywords in some ways. So the ace is not part of it. But then we have here, there's the decan, the planet, and the card, and then the word for it. And then it goes on to the next one. The next planet would be the sun. And then it goes into Venus, which is interesting. And then it goes to Leo. So I'm going to be using this deck here for my deck and walk. And I will probably show you guys, like, I'll probably break the video down astrologically. So it'll be broken, like, based on not each decan, but each season, I guess, and let you guys know how that's going. Or if I do a membership, which I would be interested to see what you guys thought about that. If you guys were interested, then maybe I would do an even like more complex deep dive per decan and like really have this like something that we could do live even. So I don't know. I'm contemplating it. I haven't figured out what I wanted to do. Again, the first season is probably going to be a little crazy because I will be immediately postpartum. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, I put the deck in order so I can really sit with the planetary energy, the zodiac sign, and the words associated with it. So I'm very, very, very excited to use this deck as my study deck for the deck and walk. I don't really pull this deck to read for clients or myself, to be honest. I'm not familiar with the Thoth-based system, and also it's just, I don't know, it's a pip deck, or kind of pippish to me, so I would rather use it for my deck and walk all year. I think that's my plan. Alright, so I am going to close this for now, and I guess I can remove it from the table because, to be honest, I don't need it there. So I wanted to talk to you guys a bit more about my weekly and daily practice. Now, this is a brief mention. I'm just going to really quickly cover it because I actually have 2 videos that I'm going to be posting about my weekly tarot practice and my daily tarot practice. This is something that I've been doing since early November, like mid-November. I started a new weekly practice, and I had a whole I had a whole moment really trying to refine it and figure out, and I'm still refining a little bit, but it's more or less figured out by now. So I will have a video out about my weekly and my daily practice and how I refined them and how I picked what I chose to do what I've done. Anyway, so let's talk about the daily practice first. That's going to be the easiest. So daily, I wanted to do a morning reading and an evening reading. And this is actually a lot out of me. This is asking a lot, considering the fact that I am a very busy gal. I do not actually do morning and evening readings every single day. I try to. That the goal is to attempt to do it. There is no guarantee. But for my morning readings, I have been pulling the Sublime Thresholds Tarot. This is an indie deck. I feel like I haven't really been talking about my other decks. Sorry, this one was indie, and this one is mass market, so. But, anyway, this deck is gorgeous, and I should give it its own walkthrough and moment, but I haven't yet. It's just going through, I'm doing my best, trying my best. Okay, so, for one, this is a beautiful deck. I love this deck. It is so good. But it is curated art, so art that already exists from other artists, in paintings and such. And what I love about it is that there's the card, of course, with the art, and then there is a Sublime code and a Greek archetype or archetypal energy. I love this. This deck and I have instantly bonded. And I'm obsessed with it. Oh, look at this hermit. Isn't he cute? Oh my gosh. It's just a beautiful deck. It's stunning. But I will go into this deck more at some point. Show you some of the cards. Oh, look at that queen. Oh, it's awesome. So, what I do is I will pull a card. We'll just say Queen of Cups. And there's a little guidebook. There is a big guidebook, but I haven't purchased it yet. I'm kind of thinking about it since I'm doing this every day. And we'll go to the Queen of Cups. Okay. And so you get a meaning, and then you get the Sublime code, which is magnetism, and it tells you about that. And the archetype, which is a Greek word, which I don't even know if I can do this one justice. Nope, I will not even attempt it. But anyway, the translation is directly in there, and it's matriarchal. So what I will do in my mornings is essentially I'm looking at these words more than anything, but I'm pulling an energy for the day, and I will use the Sublime code and use the archetype and kind of use that as a jumping off point for my day and for journaling purposes. Again, I will go into depth on that in my daily video, but I wanted you guys to know that that's something I do. I just love this deck. Oh, it feels so good. I'm obsessed. Absolutely obsessed with Queen of Swords on top there. That's cute. I love this curated art deck, and again, I will give it its moment, explain my thoughts behind getting it and all of that, because this deck, it became crucial for my daily practice. If I didn't have it, I think my daily practice would look so different. Okay, in the morning, I do one other card. So I only do 2 cards, and they don't really look good beside each other, but I just pull 2 cards because usually I'm rushing in the mornings. I'm that kind of person. I'm using my Citadel. This one is mass market, and I will basically pull a card from it, and what I'm asking for is a tool for my day. So I have, the energy of my day, and then I'll pull a tool. So here we have the Sentinel, and my tool could be the shield or the spears. So I don't use the archetype. I mean, I do, but it's more about what's depicted on here. So if I had the Pilgrim, it'd be a lantern. That's my tool. What does a lantern mean to me? That's kind of how I'm using it. Gosh, they're all upside down. Or king, it'd be crown or sword. The wise one, I would try to figure out what plant they're holding there. Or I would say the third eye. Maybe a vessel for the acolyte. Just different. I'm looking at the objects that are in the image, and then I am using the keywords as well, but I'm mostly looking for the object. And then I would just open up the guidebook, find the message, and then use that for my morning reading. So I would pair my tool with my Sublime code, and that is kind of how I do my mornings. So again, I will go more into depth on that and like show you guys what I mean, but for now that's just part of my, you know, yearly practice. Like it's going to be something I'm doing every day, so that's part of the upcoming here. Okay, the bedtime routine is a little bit more complicated. So it all starts with this deck, which I've had a whole journey with, but it's the Influence of Angels Tarot. You guys are going to laugh. It's like a collage deck, partially. So, good on me, right? Because I think I just bashed collage decks in my last video. It's not like super collage-y. It's just like this. I don't know if it's curated art or not. Oh yeah, it is because of that. But they added, you know, extra things to it to make it tarot-ified. They added like little like angels, you know, and like there's an angel on this. I'm obsessed with this deck, and what's hilarious is I had no idea that Thea talked about this deck. Thea Evans, she has like a whole channel and everything for tarot. I didn't even know. I don't know how I missed it. I just, look, I don't watch every single tarot video that everybody else makes. I do just kind of like jump in and out, right? And I had no idea that she was obsessed with this deck until she did her yearly review and was talking about it, and I was like, oh my god, I just found this. And it was a whole journey to find this deck for me and to realize this is what I needed. But long story short, for my end of day reading, I pull one of these cards, and I don't necessarily focus just on what the card meaning is, like Three of Pentacles. I kind of do something that was completely inspired by Lisa Pepez. I was really struggling to get back into tarot and really struggling to come up with like rituals that would make my spirituality feel more involved in my daily life. And she had mentioned in her bedtime routine, one of the things she does is she has the unicorn tarot. I think that's what it's called. I don't actually know, but it's like unicorn tarot deck. And there's a unicorn on every single card, but it's a supporting character. And so for her, she sees that as how the universe supported her today. I use that as a jumping off point. And so for me, I look for the angel in every single deck to see how the universe influenced my day. So it's less about how they supported me, but more so where was the universe acting upon me today? What was its influence? Like, where did the angel show up for me? And then I use the imagery more so than the meaning. But again, I will go into depth on how I journal with that and what I really do with it, but I am obsessed. This deck is instantly one of my favorites, aside from the Sublime Threshold. It's funny enough, they're both curated art, but they have like just, I don't know, just grabbed me, and I'm just obsessed with them. So anyway, I'm loving this at my bedtime routine. The other thing I did for my bedtime routine is I am using the Mind's Eye Tarot and the Solitary Witch Oracle. I think I mentioned this in my 2025 most used decks thing, but I am loving these two decks together. Essentially, I pull one Oracle card, and then I pull two tarots, and I'll show you how that looks. And this is entirely inspired by Dawn Michelle, actually, and how she compares her oracles and tarots to see if they are a good match. There are reversals, so some things are going to be upside down. Apparently all of it's going to be upside down. But look how pretty these are together. Like, aren't they just beautiful? I love these together. So I will have the oracle and then the two tarots on the side. I do have to look up the oracle meaning. So I do actually have to go into the guidebook by Lucy Cavendish, but I'm obsessed with this guidebook. It's so good. And I have fallen in love with this oracle deck. And I'm not a big oracle deck person. I am trying to find more oracle decks that like really speak to me. That's another goal for 2026. But with this, so it says a gentle path of inspiration. Now I don't really know what this is about, until I go into the guidebook, but usually it makes so much sense, and I have had some incredible readings with these two decks. Again, it's been a whole journey to get where we are, but this is what we've landed on. I'm trying to get away from reversals here so you guys can see the art for what it is, but both decks I read reversals with, so. But the art just looks so good. Like, the colors, they both have like that deep black and then like splash of colors. I just feel like it just works. They speak to each other. They do a really good job. It's a pairing I never saw coming. And I'm obsessed. And I'm really, really obsessed with both decks for a multitude of reasons. And I'll have to like show you guys more of the artwork at some point, but I'm obsessed with them. They're just gorgeous. That's that one, and then I'll show you this one really quick. Of course, everything is turned every which way. Oh, look how cute that is. Trying to get away from reversals there. The crone. Yeah. I've just had some incredibly powerful readings at the end of the day. And I don't ask any questions. I just pull cards and see what message is meant for me. There is no question. It's just, what do you want to tell me? What's your message? What do you have to say? That's a question, I guess. I honestly don't even think about it. And I use both of those at bedtime after using the angel one, so I kind of use all of them, I suppose. So yeah, bedtime routine includes these three decks. Now, it can be very intense to have that many cards to really do that much of a reading, and I'm not really several card person, so that does make it a little tricky for me. And I do have a weekly thing as well, so I'll briefly talk about that. I suppose I can just show you my weekly spread here. I will go into much more depth about it later, but I have a check-in, and this isn't even weekly. I honestly have been doing it bi-weekly, to be honest with you, but I do a how am I doing. So I have spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, creatively, and I will separate a deck. Whatever deck feels right to me. I don't even think I've marked which deck I used here, but whatever deck feels like what I need at that time, I will divide it up. So I put all the majors in a pile, the pentacles, swords, cups, and wands, and then that's how I derive the spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, and creatively. And I will pull a card. So spiritually, I had the world, which makes sense given other readings I'd had. Physically, I had 8 of Pentacles, and so on and so on and so on. So, like, that's one thing I do, just to kind of do a check-in, more or less. And then I journal about it, and then I have a weekly card, which was the Star from Fyodor Pavlov Tarot that week. So I will do, kind of see what my weekly energy is going to be. I don't really hold this card on my altar or anything. I just kind of keep it in the journal, reflect on it. And then I do a rune casting, and I am trying to work on rune casting. It's not something that I do a ton, to be honest with you. And I've only done it a handful of times now, but this is what it looks like, and I'll show you how that's done in a second. And then these were okay, I guess I used Crow Tarot for over here, so I used Crow Tarot. But I've been doing a weekly rune casting. Again, I will kind of like give you guys more details in a weekly video, but I have this little bag with my runes, and they are made out of resin from a friend of mine. But I really want crystal ones, to be honest. I mean, I love these. They're cute. But I don't know a ton about the runes. I have to look it up every time to figure out what's going on. But I've been casting them, and it's been just fun. It's just been so fun. And it's so cool to look and see how it relates to me. And I have been using the Oracle of Many Paths, like, what would you call this? Printable poster. On the one side is the artwork that the tarot cards come from, and on the other side is this beautiful chart, and I just cast runes, and where the runes land, the closer they are to the center, that's how I know what the topic is supposed to be, and then I see what path the other runes are going to. Again, I'll explain that in like another one, but it's been so fun to use this. I am looking for other altar cloth things, but these two things have been living together, and again, like every 2 weeks, to be honest, because I don't do it every week, even though it's supposed to be weekly. Every 2 weeks, I pull them out and I do a little rune casting, and it's been just wonderful. Moving away from ritual practices, because again, I was trying to create rituals for myself to really stay involved in tarot. I do have some study plans, and I wanted to talk about those. So I have a Google Doc that I've been working on to create a study plan. I'm kind of like using my phone here, so I'm just gonna pull it off screen, but I have a deep, like, esoteric study that I've made, my own little curriculum, if you will. I know it's trending for people to create their own curriculums. I didn't even know about that trend until very recently, but I have been reading the Kybalion recently, and my next book is going to be The Western Esoteric Traditions by Nicholas Goodrick Clark, and I am also going to be reading, like, in tandem, it's one by Aldous Huxley. Yeah, The Perennial Philosophy. So those are, like, the books I'm reading regarding my esoteric understanding. I've loved the Kybalion. That's the one I'm almost done with, and I will be making some videos on that, kind of updating you guys on what I learned. Just making just showing my studies, I suppose, on the channel. But I'm doing it for personal reasons. I'm doing it for personal, spiritual reasons. I am also planning on officially working with the Hermetic Tarot in this study. There is no guidebook, really, for this deck, so it's just kind of a thing. You gotta, like, just figure it out. I think mine's in order. Yeah, it is. Okay, I didn't know it was in order. But, yeah, it's a lot. This is a lot. It's heavy. I'm not using it with my decan walk. I'm using it purely for study purposes. Purely for that. I still don't have a Thoth deck, but at some point I do have a whole module in my curriculum that I've made to help me with that as well. So I'll be working on that. But we're not there yet, but we will be at some point. I'm not holding myself to any hard, fast deadlines. It quite literally is just however quickly I work. But yeah, I'm using this as a guide as well. Beyond that, other things I really want to do regarding my spiritual practice are potential new and full moon readings, but given that I'm already doing like a bi-weekly reading that's supposed to be weekly, and I'm already doing daily readings, that felt like a lot, especially with the decan walk as well being considered. So I'm not sure I'll do new and full moon readings, but we'll see. And then the other thing was seasonal readings, specifically for the solstices and equinoxes, and actually, on the date that I'm filming this, the winter solstice is tomorrow, so I will do a solstice spread, I think. I'm going to try to come up with something, just for me to stay grounded and connected spiritually and energetically. And of course, I know this video is coming out in January because it is about my yearly practice ahead, but I do plan on doing stuff during the equinoxes and solstices as well. So that is something. I have no idea how that's going to look. I have not created that plan yet, but we will see. And then the Oracle of Many Paths is going to be joining me with some path working. I've never done path working. I still need to come up with a plan, but I'll show you the deck. I am going to be using this deck for path working, which makes sense. It's Oracle of Many Paths. And I'm not entirely certain how that's going to look. Just want to let you guys know that's the plan. So, and I think I'm going to be sitting with the imagery more, focusing less on what the card is and more so on the paths within it and the what I'm seeing and noticing in the cards. So it's going to be, because I know I made a whole walkthrough and I was a little frustrated that some of the cards, I was like, how do I know what card it is? Like, how do I know when it's the Page of Wands or something versus the King? Like, how do I know? And I don't want to get hung up on that, so I think I'm going to use this more based on color, based on what's coming up for me, what I see, what pops out and catches my attention, so use it more like that. And then I'll dip into the guidebook and figure out what the energy was. But I think that's going to benefit me in the long run a bit more, and yeah, we'll see how that goes. So if I figure out a system for path working, then you guys will, of course, see that video, and I will let you know how that's going. So overall, expect more out of this journal. In the future, I'll probably get another journal at some point. I have a plan to get a different one, but I love how big the pages are, and I love that this journal like lays super flat, so I can like do whatever I need to do. But yeah, I am fully planning on doing a lot this year spiritually. A lot of it's going to be more mysticism study, but there is a lot of tarot involved. And I think what you might notice in the upcoming year is that I don't really use tarot for necessarily personal discovery or self-discovery. Like, I do, but to be honest, what I want to use tarot for is communicating with spirit and really connecting with the divine. And yes, I do want to use it for shadow work, and I do want to use it for spiritual growth, and I will in some practices, but for the most part, I have plans to make this more of a learning, study, and divine, I guess, experience, rather than just personal self-growth. So anyway, I will keep you guys updated, and anyway, I hope that this gives you guys some inspiration on how you can work on your year ahead practices. I'm not doing a year ahead spread. I don't find those useful. I don't find those helpful in any way. And I think part of it is because I don't really see tarot as something that can predict the future, to be honest. So I don't really do a year ahead spread. I have not done that. I will not be doing that. But I do plan on doing that decan walk starting in March. And of course, the weekly and daily readings and my study, of course. So if you guys have any questions, please be sure to leave them down in the comments below, and I'll try to answer them. Otherwise, thank you guys for stopping by, and I will catch you next time.